Hello, my name is Liat Yakhnich. I'm head of Department of Youth Development in Beit Berl College in Israel, and I present a study that was conducted together with my colleague, Professor Sophie Walsh from Bar-Ilan University. The study explores identity experiences and negotiations among young Israelis of Ethiopian origin. In this study, in this phenomenological study, we examined a group of young Israelis who immigrated from Ethiopia to understand how they relate to their identity experiences and what are the salient issues involved in their identity negotiations. The Ethiopian Israeli immigrant story provides a unique opportunity to understand how individuals make sense of their identities when bridging multiple cultural realities in minority status. Immigrants from Ethiopia are the second largest immigrant group to Israel in recent years. 152,000 Ethiopian Jews live in Israel. 87,000 of them immigrated from Ethiopia, and the rest were born in Israel. Ethiopian immigrants to Israel stand out for their skin color and a predominantly white society. Their integration involved significant difficulties due to deep cultural differences, significant illiteracy, changes in family structure following the immigration, and discrimination. As I said, the study was a qualitative phenomenological study. We interviewed 19 participants, 14 were female and 5 were male. They were aged 25 to 40. They immigrated to Israel from Ethiopia in the period from 1983 to 1998, with the majority immigrating in 1991 during Operation Solomon. The age of immigration ranged from 2 to 17 years. The majority immigrated between the ages of 5 to 12. 12 were married. 10 of them were married to spouses who also immigrated from Ethiopia. 16 participants had academic degrees, mostly in helping professions and education. The following themes emerge from data analysis: participants' sense of identity and its components, skin color and identity, personal versus group identity, and the process of awakening of Ethiopian identity. So the first theme is sense of identity. The participants described their identity as some mix of Ethiopian, Israeli, and Jewish identities. Half described themselves as Israelis with an Ethiopian background and stressed their belonging to the Israeli society. For example, I bring citations to present the participants' perceptions. One of the participants said, "I'm Israeli Ethiopian. I love my country. I'm proud of it. I have no other place, and I don't want to have one. In Ethiopia, I was a stranger. Here, I'm not." Some participants, mostly those who immigrated at a relatively late age, saw themselves primarily as Ethiopians who live in Israel. Ethiopian culture is an integral part of me. It's much stronger than the Israeli culture. I identify completely with things I was born with. So we can see here somewhat different perception of Ethiopian identity. The balance between the identity is often fluid, and it depends on the circumstances. We can see here one of the participants says, "I feel Israeli, especially in sad moments like wars or other difficulties in the country. I'm Israeli Ethiopian. When I face discrimination, I automatically change the order and become first Ethiopian and only then Israeli." Some participants stress their Jewish identity. Our real identity is Ethiopian Jews. Our fathers dreamt of coming to Israel. This was the thing that strengthened us and united us. Experiencing this simultaneous existence of numerous identity may be confusing. We can see here a participant who says, "I would prefer to be only one thing. My identity is not complete. You are complete when you love yourself, your customs, and your culture entirely. I don't agree with many things in Ethiopian culture. Uh, and there are things I don't like in Israel as well. I'm not here and not there. There's some sense of being in between the cultures, between the identities. The second thing that arose from the analysis was the association between skin color and identity. The majority of the participants related to their skin color as a component of being Ethiopian in Israel. They said that the skin color is important for a host society that identifies them according to their color. People don't ask me where I came from. It's obvious. This is the first thing they see. And only then they see that I'm Jewish, Israeli, and other things. Some participants reported facing stereotypic and negative attitudes due to their skin color. For example, a participant who works as a social worker with in the area of family violence says people think this women's homicide happens only to Ethiopians because we are a minority and we are noticeable because of our color. Two participants shared direct experiences of racism and discrimination. Also, the color is important for the participants, and their self-definition is based on it. It's not the central component of their identity. Many said, my identity is my color, but not only. There are many people of my color, but they don't know or don't understand what is it to be Ethiopian. It's the clothes, it's the food, the way of talking, the etiquette. The color is not the basic component of the identity, it's one of the components. The next theme is personal versus group identity. For most participants, being Ethiopian meant being a part of the Ethiopian community. As they spoke, they addressed themselves as we. They addressed their community as we. They felt being similar to other Ethiopian Israelis, and this granted them a sense of security and belongingness. When I come to a new place, I immediately recognize other Ethiopians. It makes me feel more confident there is someone like me. The participants feel they represent the Ethiopian community in Israel. Like one of the participants, Abve, who works as a teacher, she says, it's important for me to bring something from our culture to the school, to get the children to know our traditions. At Sigd, it's one of the central Ethiopian Jewish community's holidays. I came with traditional clothes, baked Ethiopian bread, explained about the day. So we can see that for Abve, it's important to bring her culture and to make it accessible for other children, not only Ethiopian children. In many cases, the participants actually choose to represent their community, but there are many instances when they feel they are led to this by others. For example, one of the participants says that when she was in the university, the lecturer said, Shashito, it's her name, what do you have to say about it in relation to some issue that was connected to the Ethiopian community? And she says, of course, I'm the representative of all Ethiopians. And she laughed because she didn't see her as a representative. The lecturer made her to represent her community. Being the representative of the whole community brings a great sense of responsibility to the participant's life. I always had to prove myself. I have a responsibility. Every time I succeed, I open the door for others that come after me. I do not only work for myself, I work for all my community. I succeed for all my community. Nevertheless, there were participants who stressed the personal nature of their identity and even felt that they had to struggle for their individuality. If you want to talk to me, don't generalize. I'm Iris. I'm not all the Ethiopians. People think that because of my color, I belong to some group, but I represent only myself. If I see an Ethiopian, I will obviously check. Maybe it's someone I know, but I'm not going to sit with him only because he's Ethiopian. So we see that some participants stress their individual identity and not their community identity, group identity. Most of the participants that were interviewed for this study clearly reported that they were involved in a process of shaping and consolidating their identity at the time the study was conducted. Identity is belonging. It occupies me. I don't just sit and ask myself, who am I? But you know, it's always there. The participants reported that for many years, they were oblivious of identity issues. For years, I was living among my friends who, like the Israeli society, don't occupy themselves with all this culture and mentality stuff. Only lately, I started thinking and understanding all kinds of things. This reconnection to the Ethiopian identity was generally facilitated by a significant event or a phase in a participant's life. For example, Iris, who works at school, was asked by school authorities to talk about her family's immigration at a school event for the Sigd holiday. And she says, I was standing there and talking about things I saw on TV or heard from other people, and I suddenly understood I didn't know my family's history. I said to myself, why am I telling other people's stories? At that point, I came to my older sister and asked her to tell me about my family, about our history. Other participants said that their search for their roots was triggered by personal crisis, academic studies, and other events that happened to them in their lives. This awakening of Ethiopian identity and self-connection to their origins is accompanied by participants searching for their identity through several paths. They say they try to connect and to preserve the Ethiopian traditions, the Jewish Ethiopian traditions. They learn Amharic language. They seek information about the Ethiopian Jewish community, and some of them travel to Ethiopia to explore the community and their personal roots. Now I'd like to summarize the findings. We see that the findings point to a number of identity-related issues, most of which highlight the interplay between society and personal identity negotiation. First, the role of the large society in making identity negotiation inherent for these young people. The second is the strive for a flexible, integrated identity in which different elements can take to the forefront in different contexts. The third is a narrative of turning points in life as a catalyst to identity negotiation. And the last is society as prioritizing a collective identity over the personal and demanding from the individual to represent the collective. We suggest that these four elements may not be unique only to this specific community of Ethiopian immigrants in Israel, but may be characteristic of minority groups for whom stigma and discrimination, visibility, and minority status make identity negotiation a crucial part of their individual's experience. And we summarize with some implications. We believe that awareness of the elements mentioned above can inform those who work with immigrant communities, like social workers, educators, and therapists. We believe in promoting professionals' understanding of the centrality of issues of identity and the complicated interplay with the demands placed on immigrants by the society. Those who work with young immigrants can assist them to form a flexible sense of identity. Programs that focus on helping young immigrants to connect to their heritage and identity and to feel a sense of pride can help to facilitate crucial identity processes. Thank you very much. Have a good day.